Hello everybody. Recently, I sold my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and I wanted to explain why in this video. Now, first I wanted to explain why I got the Pocket 3 in the first place. Now, before I had a Pocket 3, I was using a Sony full-frame camera and various different lenses. I had a Sony A7C and I had a Tamron 35 to 150mm zoom lens. I had a 35mm 1.4 G Master, a Sigma 85mm 1.4 DGDN for portraits, etc. So I had a full frame camera and various different lenses, a lot of different equipment worth thousands of dollars. And the quality was very good. I loved the image quality that I got from these lenses and cameras, very good low light performance, the bokeh, the sharpness, the image quality in general. It was just really good. I was happy with it. The reason why I sold everything, I sold my camera and my lenses that I was using at the time and I bought a Pocket 3 instead, was because I just simply needed money at the time. And like I already mentioned, the camera and lenses that I had were worth thousands of dollars, add it all up. And the Pocket 3 at the time, it was only worth around $500. So I sold my camera and all of my lenses to buy a Pocket 3 because I needed money, and if I had to weigh the two options at the time, the Pocket 3 was a much cheaper option to have. Now, if I had to get the same type of setup, the equivalent setup of a Pocket 3, meaning a camera with a 1-inch sensor, a 20mm lens, a gimbal, right? The entire setup would have cost much more than $500. It would have cost much more than the cost of the Pocket 3. The Pocket 3, it's really good value if you're using it for that specific setup. Like if you want a camera with a 1-inch sensor with a 20mm lens that has a built-in gimbal, if you want that, the Pocket 3 has all of that packed all in one. So it's a really good value if you want that type of setup specifically. And I thought that I could work with that type of setup. For me, I would be losing out on the image quality of a full frame sensor, right? The low light performance and whatnot. And also the ability to use a variety of lenses, right? With the Pocket 3, I didn't have the ability to use, for example, an 85mm lens for headshot portraits. But I was willing to take that hit in order to save money, because my main motivation for getting the Pocket 3 and getting rid of all my gear at the time was money. I just simply needed money. So I sold my thousands of dollars of equipment and got the Pocket 3 instead because of money. And because it was a setup that I was comfortable in using at the time in order to save money. However, fast forward to now, I'm not in the same financial situation anymore. Now I have much more money than I did before. I'm not in a situation where I desperately need money the same way that I did at the time that I sold everything and bought the Pocket 3. Now I can afford to have a full frame camera and various lenses again, and that's what I did. In fact, what I'm filming on right now is my Sony full frame camera and my lens that I bought for it. So I no longer need the Pocket 3 to save money because I'm in a different financial situation now. Now, of course, there's other factors to talk about, right? Because money is not the only factor when you look at the Pocket 3. There's also the size and weight. So let's talk about this. For the size is never an issue for me. Even when I used the Pocket 3, I used it pretty much the same way I would use as a full frame camera setup. I had it on a cross body strap, right? I had it on a camera strap the same way I would use a full frame camera. So I didn't even use it in a way that I had it in my pocket all the time. I just used it the same way I would any camera. And the weight is not an issue either. I didn't mind carrying around a full frame camera and lens all day. In fact, I got used to doing that during events and vacations, and when I would go out to theme parks, things like that. I didn't mind the size and weight of carrying around a full frame camera and lens all day. That was fine to me. So that never bothered me. For me, really the main draw for me was the money. The Pocket 3 cost only around $500 at the time, and an equivalent setup with a camera, 20mm lens, and gimbal would have cost much more than that. So for me, it was the money, and I bought the Pocket 3 to save money. Now, one other feature that I will miss, I didn't use this all the time, but I did use it sometimes, which I thought was pretty neat, is the active face tracking feature. That's something that I do think I will miss when not using the Pocket 3 anymore. However, DJI just came out with a gimbal that has a similar type of feature where you can use like hand gestures and then the gimbal will follow you. It has like AI, like active tracking. So I think that might be the route I go if I wanted that feature back. If I want to use some sort of feature that where I have a gimbal tracking me actively as I walk around, that would be what I would do. I would buy that new gimbal that just came out from DJI. I believe it's the RS4 Mini. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's the one feature I would say I would miss from the Pocket 3. But in terms of size and weight, I never saw that as an issue when using a full frame camera and lens. So that was not the main draw for me. It was really only because of the money. Now, I'm really glad that I'm in the financial situation I am now. I just got promoted. I had a huge pay jump. So, I mean, the financial situation I'm in now is completely different than it was before. So now, because I don't need to save so much money anymore, I can afford to sort of splurge and spend more money on my camera and lenses now. So I'm very happy about that. But that's why I sold my Pocket 3, is because the original reason why I got the Pocket 3 in the first place, it no longer applies. Because I'm in a different situation now. Now, perhaps in the future, if I do need to save money again, maybe I'll sell all my gear again to get the Pocket 3 again. But for now, I'm good. I can afford it. I do think that if you're not in a position where you already have a ton of equipment that's worth thousands of dollars, then a Pocket 3 could be a good choice depending on what your use case is. If you're specifically using it for vlogs and you're comfortable with the setup, then I would say a Pocket 3 is still a good option. For me, I want more versatility in terms of focal length, in terms of low light performance, in terms of bokeh. So now those are things that I couldn't really get optimally out of the Pocket 3. The Pocket 3, I know I've made videos on this, but for example, the Ulanzi teleconverter lens, it didn't really work that well. It had issues, it had problems with lens flare, you know, the image quality of the sides and in the corners. So there's not really a really good option for telephoto lens on the Pocket 3. For the 20mm field of view, if you like that, then there you go. It works perfectly fine for the 20mm field of view. However, if I wanted an 85mm equivalent focal length on the Pocket 3, I can't really get that. Not really. So that's why I have the setup I have now, is so that I have the full frame low light capabilities and the bokeh with the various different lenses I can choose. I can actually have a telephoto focal lengths that I can use now, on my lenses. So I'm happy with that. So that's my story. That's why I sold my Pocket 3, and that's why I have the setup that I have now. So there's pros and cons to everything, right? I kind of have to. We all have to make our decisions, right? Weigh the pros and cons of doing this versus that. So for me right now, weighing my options and weighing my pros and cons, this setup makes sense for me. And the Pocket 3 no longer really makes sense for me. It doesn't really fit my situation anymore. So yeah, I wanted to make this video just to explain why I sold my Pocket 3, just so you guys could learn from my experience and have my own personal opinion on this. All right, that's pretty much it for this. That's pretty much it for this video. And I will be making like more vlogs and more videos with my new setup. So if you guys are interested in seeing a video and photo from the Sony ZV-E1 and the Sony 28-70 f2 G Master lens, as well as other lenses that I plan to get in the future, then please like and subscribe. But that's pretty much it for this video. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.